The avoidant cannot love you properly while they're with you. This sounds paradoxical, cruel even, but it's one of the most important truths about avoidant psychology. As long as the avoidant has access to you, as long as you're present and available and trying to make the relationship work, they're operating from fear rather than love. Your presence activates all their attachment wounds. Your availability triggers their defenses. Your effort to build intimacy engages their need to protect themselves from intimacy. The avoidant can feel love for you while you're together, can care about you deeply, can even recognize you're important to them, but they cannot access that love in ways that would allow them to show up for you properly, to choose you consistently, to build the relationship you both deserve. The love is there, but it's trapped behind walls of fear so thick that it can't translate into loving behavior. For the avoidant to truly love you, to love you in ways that are functional and reciprocal and capable of sustaining partnership, they must first leave you. They must experience your complete absence. They must live without you long enough that all their defenses collapse, and they're forced to confront what you actually meant to them without those feelings being diluted or managed or controlled by proximity and access. The leaving creates the psychological space the avoidant needs to process their feelings without the threat of those feelings demanding anything from them. While you're present, the avoidant's love for you feels dangerous because love creates obligation, creates need, creates vulnerability that could be exploited. But when you're absent, when they've already lost you, the love can surface fully because it's no longer threatening. There's no risk in feeling deeply for someone who's gone. There's no vulnerability in admitting how much someone meant after they're no longer available. The absence removes the threat, and removing the threat allows the avoidant to finally feel their feelings without their nervous system shutting those feelings down as self-protection. This is why avoidants so often realize what someone meant to them only after losing them. Why they develop clarity about their feelings after the relationship ends. Why they understand they were in love only when the person is no longer there to love. The leaving also forces the avoidant to stop managing their feelings through distance and control. While you're together, the avoidant can regulate how much they feel by regulating how close you are. When the feelings get too intense, they create distance. When they start needing you too much, they withdraw. They're constantly managing their emotional state by managing your proximity. But when you're gone entirely, when the leaving has happened and the relationship is over, the avoidant can't manage through proximity anymore. They have to sit with the full force of what they feel without being able to dilute it through strategic distance. And sitting with the full force of their feelings is what finally allows them to recognize those feelings as love, as attachment, as need they can no longer deny. The leaving strips away all the management strategies, leaving the avoidant naked with their feelings in ways they could never be while you were accessible. The presence paradox that prevents love from functioning. While the avoidant is with you, your presence creates a paradox that makes functional love impossible. The closer you get, the more the avoidant needs to create distance. The more you love them, the less they can receive that love. The more the relationship deepens, the more threatened they feel by that depth. Your very presence, the thing that should facilitate love, is actually preventing the avoidant from accessing their love for you because presence means intimacy, means vulnerability, means threat. The avoidant's nervous system is interpreting your presence as danger that must be defended against, and you can't love someone properly while simultaneously defending yourself from them. The paradox means that everything you do to build connection actually builds disconnection. You show vulnerability to create intimacy, and your vulnerability makes the avoidant withdraw to protect themselves from being vulnerable in return. You express your feelings to deepen the bond, and your feelings create pressure the avoidant experiences as suffocating. You're consistent and available to prove you're trustworthy, and your consistency makes the avoidant feel trapped because they interpret reliability as loss of freedom. Every normal relationship-building behavior you engage in activates defenses in the avoidant that prevent them from responding to those behaviors with reciprocal connection. You're trying to build a bridge while the avoidant is building walls, and the walls are going up specifically in response to your bridge building. The presence paradox also means the avoidant can't think clearly about their feelings while you're there. Your presence fills their mental space with anxiety about intimacy, with fear about vulnerability, with hypervigilance about maintaining autonomy. They're so busy managing their fear response to your presence that they can't access the love underneath the fear. It's like trying to hear quiet music while standing next to a loud alarm. The alarm of their fear is so loud that the music of their love is completely drowned out. Only when the alarm stops, when you're gone and the threat is removed, can they finally hear the music that was playing underneath the whole time. The avoidant also can't appreciate you while they have you. This is fundamental to avoidant psychology, and it's infuriating if you're the person being taken for granted. The avoidant notices your flaws, focuses on incompatibilities, sees all the ways you're not perfect for them. They're critical and dismissive and unable to see your value clearly, because seeing your value clearly would mean acknowledging how much you matter. And acknowledging how much you matter would activate all their fears about dependency. But when you're gone, when they've lost you, suddenly they can see clearly. Suddenly you're perfect in retrospect. Suddenly all the qualities they dismissed become precious. Absence is what allows the avoidant to see what was right in front of them the whole time, what they were too defended to recognize while they had access to it. The loss that forces confrontation with truth. The avoidant must lose you to confront the truth of what you meant to them. While you're present, the avoidant can lie to themselves about their feelings. They can minimize their attachment. They can convince themselves you're not that important. They can tell themselves they're fine alone. They can maintain all the defensive narratives that protect them from vulnerability. But loss strips away the ability to maintain those lies. When you're gone, when they can't see you or talk to you or be with you, the gap your absence creates is undeniable evidence of your importance. The avoidant can't pretend you didn't matter when the ache of missing you is constant. They can't claim they don't need anyone when the specific absence of you is creating pain that proves they needed you specifically. The loss forces the avoidant to sit with feelings they've been avoiding their entire life. Grief, longing, regret, need. All the emotions the avoidant has organized their psychology to avoid surface in the aftermath of losing you. And because these feelings are so intense, because the pain of your absence is so acute, the avoidant finally has to acknowledge the depth of what they felt while you were there. They didn't just like you. They loved you. They didn't just enjoy your company. They needed you. They weren't just casually dating. They were attached in ways that losing you reveals as profound. The loss is the teacher that forces the avoidant to learn what you meant, and the lesson comes through pain that can't be intellectualized away. The confrontation with truth also includes the avoidant recognizing their patterns destroyed something precious. While you're together, the avoidant can blame you for their withdrawal. You're too needy. You're too demanding. You want too much. But when you're gone, when your absence proves you weren't actually needy but just had normal needs they couldn't meet, the avoidant has to confront that they were the problem. Their patterns destroyed the relationship. Their fear drove you away. Their inability to show up properly cost them someone who mattered. This confrontation with being the cause of their own loss is devastating but necessary. It's what creates the possibility of change because the avoidant finally sees clearly that their defenses aren't protecting them. Their defenses are destroying everything they actually want. The loss also forces the avoidant to experience the pain they've been inflicting on others. While you were together, when they withdrew or went cold or created distance, you experienced pain that the avoidant could witness but couldn't really feel. But now that you're gone, now that they're the one experiencing abandonment and loss and longing for someone who's not available, they're finally feeling what they've been making others feel. The empathy that was impossible while they were defended becomes accessible through their own experience of loss. They're learning what it feels like to want someone who's not there, to miss someone who's moved on, to live with regret about how they treated someone who deserved better. The learning is painful, but it's the only way the avoidant develops understanding of the impact of their behavior, the absence that allows feeling without fear. When the avoidant leaves you, when the relationship ends and you're no longer accessible, the absence creates the only condition in which the avoidant can feel their love for you without fear contaminating that love. While you were present, feeling love meant facing the terrifying possibility of needing you, of being hurt by you, of losing themselves in you. But now that you're absent, now that they've already lost you, the love can surface without those fears attached. They can miss you without fear that missing you makes them dependent. They can long for you without fear that longing makes them weak. They can recognize they loved you without fear that admitting love gives you power to hurt them. The absence has already happened, the loss is complete, and that completion removes the threat that prevented them from feeling freely. The absence allows the avoidant to romanticize you and the relationship in ways that presence never permitted. While you were together, the avoidant focused on problems, on incompatibilities, on reasons the relationship couldn't work. But in your absence, freed from the daily friction of actual relationship, the avoidant remembers only the good. They remember how you laughed, how you understood them, how safe they felt with you in their better moments. They remember the connection they were too scared to fully inhabit while it was available. And this romanticization, while not entirely accurate, serves the purpose of allowing the avoidant to feel the depth of what they had without the complications that proximity created. They're finally feeling positive feelings about you without those feelings being constantly interrupted by fear. The absence also creates space for the avoidant to process at their own pace without pressure. While you were together, your presence created implicit pressure. Pressure to define the relationship, pressure to increase intimacy, pressure to meet your needs, pressure to progress toward commitment. But in your absence, all that pressure disappears. The avoidant can think about you and feel about you without any requirement to do anything with those thoughts and feelings. They can love you in their imagination without that love demanding they show up differently. And this pressure-free processing is what finally allows the avoidant to access their feelings fully, because feelings without demands are safe in ways feelings with demands never are for the avoidant. The avoidant in absence also experiences something they couldn't experience in presence: genuine choice. While you were together, staying in the relationship felt like obligation, like being trapped, like having their freedom restricted. But in your absence, wanting you back is pure choice. There's no obligation to want you. There's no trap in missing you. They're free to not care, and yet they find themselves caring intensely. This experience of freely choosing to want you, of recognizing their desire for you, arises spontaneously without external pressure, is what allows the avoidant to trust their own feelings. The feelings they questioned while you were present become trustworthy in absence because they're clearly not coerced or obligated. They're choosing to love you from a distance, and choice makes the love feel real in ways it couldn't, while presence made everything feel like pressure, the transformation that can only happen alone. The avoidant must leave you and be alone to do the psychological work that would make them capable of loving anyone properly. While they're with you, they're too busy defending against intimacy to examine why they're defending. They're too focused on managing their fear to understand the source of the fear. They're too invested in maintaining their patterns to recognize those patterns as problems. But in the aftermath of losing you, in the pain of your absence, the avoidant is forced into confrontation with themselves that can lead to transformation if they're willing to do the work. The alone time after leaving you is when the avoidant might finally seek therapy. The loss is the catalyst. The pain is the motivation. The regret is the fuel. The avoidant recognizes they can't keep repeating these patterns, can't keep losing people who matter, can't keep living with the loneliness their fear creates. And this recognition, born from the specific loss of you, might drive them toward the therapeutic work they've been avoiding. They start examining their attachment history. They begin understanding how childhood experiences created their adult patterns. They develop awareness of how their defenses that were protective in childhood are destructive in adulthood. The transformation requires being alone because being alone removes all the distractions and allows the avoidant to focus entirely on their own healing. The transformation also requires the avoidant to sit with discomfort they've spent their life avoiding. Loneliness, vulnerability, need, grief, all the feelings that presence of a partner would allow them to avoid or manage through proximity, they now have to feel fully while alone. And sitting with these uncomfortable feelings without escape or management is what develops the capacity to tolerate discomfort in future relationships. The avoidant is learning they can feel intense emotions and survive them. They can long for someone and not die from the longing. They can be vulnerable and not be destroyed. All of this learning happens in the crucible of loss and aloneness, and the learning is what creates capacity for different relating in the future. The avoidant alone after losing you might also recognize patterns they couldn't see while they were in those patterns. They notice they're repeating the same cycles with new people. They observe themselves starting to withdraw in new relationships when intimacy deepens. They catch themselves focusing on flaws and incompatibilities as defense against attachment. The pattern recognition that's nearly impossible while you're inside the pattern becomes clear when you're outside it, alone with your own behavior to observe without the complications of active relationship. The avoidant is seeing themselves clearly, and seeing clearly is prerequisite for changing anything, the return that might never come or might come too late. If the avoidant does the work, if they use the loss of you as catalyst for transformation, if they develop capacity for intimacy through therapy and self-examination, they might return to you. This return would be fundamentally different from their usual pattern of leaving and coming back. It wouldn't be the avoidant returning because they're lonely, or because they miss the comfort of your presence, or because they want to restore the dynamic where you're pursuing them. It would be the avoidant returning as someone different, someone who's done deep work on themselves, someone who's genuinely ready to show up in ways they couldn't before. This kind of return is rare but possible, and it's the only return worth considering accepting. But the return might never come. Most avoidants don't do the deep work required for transformation. They experience the loss of you, they feel the pain, they have moments of clarity about their patterns, and then they find someone new and repeat the same cycle. Or they stay alone, maintaining their defensive independence, carrying regret about losing you, but not channeling that regret into growth. The avoidant who leaves you might love you deeply in your absence, might recognize what you meant, might carry you as the one who got away for the rest of their life, and still never do the work that would make them capable of healthy relationship with you or anyone else. The leaving creates opportunity for transformation, but it doesn't guarantee transformation. The return might also come too late. The avoidant might spend months or years processing their feelings, doing their work, developing capacity, and then return to find you've moved on completely. You've built a life that doesn't include them. You've found partnership with someone who could show up from the beginning without needing to lose you first. You've healed enough that you're no longer interested in going backwards to someone who represents pain you've processed past. The avoidance timeline for growth doesn't align with your timeline for moving forward. And the misalignment means they've permanently lost their chance regardless of how much they've changed. This too lateness is part of the price the avoidant pays for needing to leave before they could truly love. Even if the return comes at the right time, even if the avoidant has genuinely changed, accepting them back requires careful assessment. Have they been in consistent therapy? Can they articulate specifically what work they've done and what they've learned? Can they demonstrate change capacity through changed behavior over sustained time? Are they showing up differently in concrete ways? Not just saying they've changed, but actually being different? The return of a transformed avoidant is still a risk, still requires you to be willing to give someone another chance who hurt you before, still demands you be discerning about whether transformation is real, or whether you're seeing temporary behavior change that will revert once the avoidant feels secure they have you again. What this means for you while they're gone. Understanding that the avoidant might need to leave you to truly love you shouldn't make you wait for their return. The leaving is necessary for them, but waiting is harmful for you. While the avoidant is gone, doing or not doing their work, you need to be moving forward with your life. You need to be healing from the relationship. You need to be building the life you want, whether or not they ever come back. You can't organize your present around the possibility of their future transformation. You can't wait in limbo, hoping they'll do the work and return ready to love you properly. Waiting is wasting your life on someone's potential instead of your own reality. You also need to understand that their needing to leave you to truly love you isn't romantic. It's not evidence they were so overwhelmed by their love for you that they had to leave to process it. It's evidence they're psychologically limited in ways that made them incapable of loving you while you were accessible. It's a limitation, not a love story. The avoidant who can only love you after losing you is someone whose capacity for love is so restricted by fear that they can only access love when there's no risk, no demand, no reality attached to it. This isn't the basis for healthy relationship. It's the description of someone who needs extensive therapeutic work before they're ready for partnership with anyone. Understanding the dynamic also shouldn't make you blame yourself for their leaving. You didn't cause their need to leave by being too much or wanting too much or pushing too hard. The avoidance fear would have been activated regardless of how you behaved, because the fear isn't about you. It's about intimacy itself, about vulnerability itself, about need itself. The most patient, understanding, accommodating person in the world would still trigger the avoidance defenses once attachment formed, because attachment is what the avoidance psychology is designed to avoid. Their leaving is about their limitations, not about your inadequacies. You were never the problem, even though the avoidant might have made you feel like you were. You should also recognize that even if they truly love you in your absence, love that only functions from a distance isn't enough. You deserve love that shows up. You deserve love that's present and consistent and capable of building a life with you. You deserve love that doesn't require complete absence to access itself. The avoidance realization in your absence that they love you, while validating and confirming you mattered, doesn't obligate you to make yourself available for a love that couldn't function when you were accessible. Their distance love might be real for them, but real for them isn't the same as good for you. The painful truth about avoidant love. The avoidant must leave you first to truly love you, and this truth reveals something painful about avoidant love itself. It's love that can't exist in reality. It can only exist in memory, in absence, in the safety of distance, where love demands nothing and costs nothing and requires nothing. The avoidant can love you deeply when you're gone, because loving someone who's gone is safe. There's no risk of being hurt, no demand for vulnerability, no requirement to show up or change or grow. Absence love is comfortable for the avoidant in ways presence love never could be, because presence makes love complicated and risky and terrifying. This means the avoidant's truest, deepest love for you might happen entirely outside of relationship with you. They might love you most intensely when you're completely unavailable, when the relationship is definitively over, when there's no possibility of reunion. The love is real, but it's non-functional. It's love that can't build anything, can't create partnership, can't sustain connection. It's love that exists only as feeling divorced from action, from presence, from all the things that make love relational, rather than just internal emotional experience. And recognizing this is recognizing that even when the avoidant truly loves you, even when their love is deep and genuine, it might still be love that can't give you what you need from love. The avoidant's need to leave you to truly love you is also evidence that they loved you improperly while they had you. They were incapable of receiving your love, of reciprocating it, of building on it. They were too defended to love you well when loving you well was what mattered, when it could have made a difference, when the relationship was still viable. The love that surfaces in absence is too late to save what the absence ended. It's love that proves what could have been if the avoidant had been capable, but capability that arrives after loss is capability that can't repair the loss it would have prevented. The avoidant must leave you to truly love you, but you must let them stay gone to truly love yourself. Their need to leave is their limitation. Your need to move forward is your healing. They're learning in your absence what you meant. You're learning in their absence what you need. And what you need is someone who can love you in presence, not just in absence. Someone who can show up, not just feel deeply from a distance. Someone whose love is functional, not just feeling. The avoidance love from afar might be genuine and might be the truest love they're capable of, but true for them doesn't mean sufficient for you. And recognizing the difference is what frees you to find love that doesn't require loss to recognize itself. Love that can exist in reality rather than only in regret.